So I want to tell you first a little bit about myself and a little bit about this presentation. My name is Yezmin Thomas, and I am a financial coach. And today we are going to be talking about budgeting one-on-one, 101, how to create a budget, how to manage your money, how to stop that cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. So just to tell you a little bit about myself, I know some of you already know me. Maybe many of you don't have any idea of who I am. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background. My name is Yezmin Thomas. I am a journalist by trade and a financial coach by vocation. I have a long career as a personal finance journalist, having worked in media, specifically TV, for 17 years. I have done a lot of investigations on financial crimes, and I discovered that if people had better information, their financial status would look much different. Instead, they were facing very serious financial problems because they didn't have enough information to make big financial decisions. I did so many stories on financial crimes, and I realized that my work as a journalist was important, but it wasn't fixing the problem. And the problem was the financial education. So that was to me an aha moment to realize that we need to put out more information on financial education. So that's when I became a designated Ramsey Solutions Master Financial Coach. I'm also a working mom, and I'm a huge debt-free advocate. And today I'm going to share with you the steps that you need to follow to be able to gain your financial independence. Everything starts with your monthly budget. Okay, so go ahead, get some paper, get some pens, some markers, because I want you taking notes. We are going to walk through today through the process of how you make a monthly budget. How do you make sure that you're going to have enough money to live, and what to do if you're seeing that your income is not going to be enough to cover your expenses, okay? This process is very simple, but it does require that we invest time into sitting down and writing everything down. I recommend that you write it down and not use an app or Excel spreadsheet for a very simple reason. This will be a visceral process. What am I talking about? When you actually get a notepad, I have a notepad here. When you actually write down all of your expenses, the exercise of writing things down makes it real. It sinks in, and then you realize where your money is actually going. So I don't want you using a spreadsheet. I don't want you using an app. I want you to write it down on paper so that you can experience those transactions at a personal level. When you're using your credit card, when you're paying with your phone, when you're using a debit card, we are not registering the transaction, the physical exchange of money. When you write down how much money you make, where you are spending it, and how much you are spending on certain things, that suddenly becomes real, and that is going to provoke a feeling in your gut. And it is that feeling, the one that's going to motivate you to do things differently, okay? So let's go back to the presentation. The steps that you need to follow to do a budget. It is a simple process, but it requires time, okay? So write this down. Every single month, before the month begins, you need to create a monthly estimate of your expenses, okay? Before the month begins, you need to create a monthly estimate of your expenses. How are you going to do this? You're going to create a list of all your income, and you're going to put the dates on the calendar when you get the income and how much you get. Then you're going to make the list of all the expenses, from your mortgage to your groceries. All of the expenses, you need to write them down on that notepad, and then you need to pull a calendar, and you need to write down on the calendar when those expenses are due. Then we're going to analyze when the money is coming in. and when the bills need to get paid. Okay, so this is the process. I am going to show you pictures of what it looks like when you actually do it. We are going to track on our calendar. You can just pull a calendar from the internet. You can buy yourself a calendar, whatever. It is easy for you. You can create one on your piece of paper. Let's say that you get paid once a month, okay? So you are going to mark on your calendar the date that you get paid and the amount, okay? You're gonna write it down. If you get paid on the first and you get paid $5,000, you're gonna write down right there $5,000. What if you don't get paid once a month? You get paid instead every Friday. This is what your calendar is gonna look like. You are going to be receiving a paycheck every Friday, and you're going to write down the amount as well. Most people actually get paid on the 15th and the last day of the month. So this is what your calendar is going to look like if that is your situation, okay? You're going to write down on the 15th how much is coming in and the last day of the month. Sometimes it's the 30th, sometimes it's the 31st. Now, using the example of someone that gets paid twice a month, okay, which is different than bi-weekly. If you get paid bi-weekly, usually you get paid on Fridays. And then there are some months, like the month of October for some people, that they will receive 3 paychecks, one on the 2nd, one on the 16th, and then another one on the 30th. So your income for this month is actually going to be higher than your income would be on a regular month. Now, how do you make your budgeting work when the mortgage is due on the 1st, like we see on this picture? That's your mortgage. The electric bill is due on the 6th. I'm just throwing out examples. You know, you all have different expenses and they all fall in different dates. I want you to mark those dates on your calendar so that you can understand how to budget, okay? Say the water falls on the 9th, then you get paid on the 15th. Then you have a student loan that's due on the 19th. You pay the internet and cable on the 21st. The car is due on the 23rd. Insurance is due on the 28th. And then you have another paycheck coming in at the end of the month, okay? How do you make it work when your income is not coming until the 15th? This is why it's so important to write everything down and put it visually on a calendar, okay? You need to work on building up a monthly cash flow cushion. This is the key. This is the key for every budget to work. You need to have money saved to operate your expenses, okay? Otherwise, people tend to use credit cards or they tend to get loans just to get going. And if you don't work on having a monthly cash flow cushion, which is different than your emergency savings account, these are 2 different things. They are both money saved in your account. If you don't have a cash flow cushion, you are going to be living paycheck to paycheck, paycheck to credit card, paycheck. So I want to get back on camera real quick because this is very important to understand the difference, okay? One thing is your cash flow cushion, which is going to sit in your checking account. It's just going to give you that padding so that you can make your payments without having to worry about your money coming in on the 15th or the 30th. In order for you to do that, you need to start saving a little bit every single time you get a paycheck to build up that cushion, okay? It's going to take you some time, but you need to get there in order to escape the paycheck by paycheck or the paycheck to credit card paycheck lifestyle, okay? I want you to get out of living paycheck to paycheck because that's how you then start making progress financially, okay? So rule number 1, put everything on the calendar. Rule number 2, write down all the expenses and the income. Rule number 3, figure out if you have any money saved, that money needs to go towards your spending cushion, okay? Let's go back to the presentation. So in order for you to do your budget, in order for you to stick to the budget, I want you to do it on paper and on purpose. I am not asking for you to just do an estimate of how much money do I think the electric bill is going to be, how much money I think the water bill is going to be. I want you to get as close as you can when you're doing your estimations. Okay, so a very good way to find out what is the closest that is going to cost you on certain bills is to look at the previous month. With your rent and your payments, your debt payments, you already know pretty much what they're going to look like. Okay, so look at the previous month to figure out your estimation for the next month. Now, I'm going to jump back in here again because it's important that you understand that before the month begins, you need to do this entire exercise. You need to calculate, make an estimation of what is going to cost for you to live the following month and how much money you expect to bring in for that month. Okay, we do this before the month begins. So we do the list of all the income and all the expenses, put them on the calendar so that you can have a visual of when they're due, because this is the right time to figure out and do the math and figure out, okay, I'm bringing in $5,000, but my expenses will be $5,600, which means I'll be $600 negative. Well, the month has not started. You can today make changes, cancel services, cut down, stop eating out, or change your habits so that you can start reducing expenses. That's why we do it before the month begins. Now, this estimation we do before the month begins becomes your spending plan during the month. So during the month, the estimated budget becomes your guide. And if the estimated budget says you have $900 for groceries, if you go over, you need to know that you're going to have to cut down expenses in other categories, or you are going to end up getting in debt. Because every time you spend more than what you make, you're probably using credit cards or borrowing money from people to make this happen. Okay, so we do the estimation before the month begins. That gives us a path, it gives us a plan. As the month goes by, we're tracking. We are writing down. So we estimated $300 for the electric bill. You know what? It was very hot. It was $350. You write it down. Estimated was $300. The actual expense was $350. Okay, so you basically have a notepad with two columns. In one column, you have the estimation. The other column has the actual expenses. Later during the presentation, I'm going to show you a resource that I have that has everything already broken down. But just know, you don't need anything but paper and pencil or pens and the willingness to get ahead financially in order to get this, okay? That's all you need. Let's get back to the presentation. So if you're married, my recommendation is that you and your husband sit down together and create a budget together. Ultimately, I think that if you're married, if you are in a healthy situation or relationship, you can be more successful in your personal life and in your financial life when you manage your finances together, okay? When you manage your finances separate, every time I see that, it leads to different paths, it leads to different plans. 10 years go by and the couple has nothing to show for because they're not working together as a team. They're working for their individual interests. Now, how to know how to prioritize your expenses? I think we have too many information coming at us from the media, from friends, from outside sources that tell us how to spend our money. So we see too many advertisements about restaurants, and we see advertisements about getting a new car, a new house, going on vacation. I don't see any advertisements that tell you that you need to save money, that you need to prepare, that you need to live below your means. And what happens is that we have been programmed and we have been taught to spend money to thrive. And that is really not the way to thrive financially. We have been programmed to believe that debt will give us opportunity in reality, your debt will limit your opportunities. And don't take my word for it. Ask anyone who is in debt, either because they have a car, credit cards, loans, and they lost their job because of the pandemic. Now they're really struggling. And when they look at their finances, they wish they didn't have the debt, because maybe those unemployment checks, which are a reduced amount of income, would be just enough to make ends meet. But now there's so many payments from all the debt that we are programmed to have that will limit our ability to get ahead. And I know that because that happened to us when the 2008 recession happened. So I want you to know that I'm speaking from experience. Not only am I a financial coach, not only am I a personal finance journalist, I have been through the rough and the roughness of surviving a financial crisis. And because of that financial crisis, I learned that debt is not an opportunity. Debt will limit your opportunities. And the fastest you can get out of debt, the better you will be financially in the future. And it is this I want you to take away from this conversation. Debt is the problem. The problem is that they have programmed us to believe that debt is an opportunity, and it is not. Debt is the problem, and we need to be aware of it, and we need to change that for our kids, because the younger generations are graduating with thousands and hundreds of thousands of loan debt, and that is becoming a huge problem. That's America's next crisis, as many experts suggest, and that is limiting the potential for so many young people to get ahead, to just thrive in their job environment, because they have this heavy weight of the debt that they now have to pay. And if I have young kids, they're teenagers. If we don't start teaching this now, and if we don't start changing what we have done so far that's given us the result that we have today, we cannot expect a different result for our future and for our kids' future. So take away from today, get out of debt, all that you have, from your mortgage to your credit cards, as soon as possible, because the cash flow from your income is what's going to open opportunities for you. Because with your income, you can now invest, you can now save, you can cash flow all your expenses, you can go to Disney World and cash flow it, you can buy a car and pay cash for it. And yes, there's people that also pay cash for their homes. Regular people like you and me who said, you know what, I am determined to do this. And they did the opposite that what programming in mainstream media is teaching us to do. They work hard, they got out of debt, they work like crazy, they started businesses, and they saved enough money to buy their own home. So even for that, you can do it debt-free. I know it's an idea that's way out there for so many people, but I can see that little by little more of us are opening our minds to doing things differently. Why? Because we realize that the result that we have is no good. And if you want a different result, you need to try different things. Let's get back to the presentation. So your necessities are really very simple. Your housing expenses and your utilities. So mortgage, rent, electricity bill, water bill, gas bill, any maintenance you have on the house, any insurance or renter insurance, taxes, which usually if you live in the United States, those are being already included in your mortgage payment. Second priority, of course, food. And when I'm talking about food, I am talking about groceries that you buy at the store, okay? I'm not talking about going out to eat. Going out to eat is an expense that is not a necessity. That is a pleasure, that is a want, but it is not a need, okay? So a need is going to the grocery store to buy whatever you need to make your meals at home. That is a necessity. Buy your toiletries, buy your cleaning supplies, your detergent, those are the necessities. Going out to McDonald's, going out to Olive Garden, going out to eat just because we work so hard and we feel like we deserve to go out to eat. I've been there, I've done it. It is not a necessity, okay? So we need to start distinguishing into the true necessities and our lifestyle choices. The next necessity is transportation. And when I talk about transportation, I want you to focus on having a vehicle that will allow you to go from point A to point B, to get to work, get to school, get to the store. Again, back to the programming. We have been programmed to have a good car, a reliable car, and we have interpreted that to mean that we need a brand new car. And because they're offering 0% financing, we should go and finance a brand new car. That is not what's going to help you get ahead financially. So I want to challenge you today to consider a necessity, your gas for your car, or the expenses for public transportation if you live in a city where you use public transportation. If you're making payments on any kind of car, that is not a necessity, that is a lifestyle choice, because you can take a very small amount of money and find a reliable car you can pay cash for and avoid the financing, okay? And then you keep saving a little bit of money, and then you go use that money you saved, and the car that you have, you can sell it, you can put it down, and then buy another car, a better car, and just pay cash for it. If we only taught our kids to never get a car loan and instead invest the money, now Americans are probably spending between $450 and $500, according to the latest statistics, monthly financing a car, and most car payments are between 5 to 7 years. Just imagine, where would your savings and investments be if 7 years from now you didn't finance a car, but instead invested $500 every single month towards your investments? Your life would be totally different. However, we make the choice to drive a nicer car now, a vehicle that is losing value every single day, every single mile you drive it, it's losing value. So that is a lose-lose situation for you. Please consider this, because financing a car when you're living paycheck to paycheck, when you don't have money saved for emergencies, when you don't have money to invest, it is a lifestyle choice and it is not a necessity. However, we have to be humble enough and open-minded enough to understand that financing a car is not in our best interest. The looks, impressing people with a nice car does not work in your favor. It's only working against you. And I hope that many people who are watching this and who are financing a car can reconsider it, make a lifestyle change today that will become an investment in themselves and not finance it anymore. So the next necessity, which has now, because of the pandemic, become a necessity, is internet. Okay, so this would be the expenses that I would consider your basic necessities. Everything else, your gym membership, going out to eat, going out to the movies, bowling, eating out, sports activities. How much money do we not spend on our children's sports activities, thinking that they need that to be better? They don't need that. They can have activities that are not costing you a leg and an arm, and that are opening same opportunities for you, same development for them, without getting you into debt. A lot of people travel and they make their vacations financed on credit cards, and then they're struggling to pay their credit cards. If you have credit card debt, car payments, loan payments, or any other debt, the best way to get ahead for you is to do a budget, cut down expenses, and start putting aggressively money towards those payments so that you can get out of debt as soon as possible. Now, up to this point, I have really given you the basics of what you need to control your money. You get a notepad, you write down your income, write down your expenses before the month begins, lay it out on a calendar, figure out when the things are due. If you have money already saved, great, because that's going to become your spending cushion while your money comes in, and you have to continue to build up that spending cushion. If you don't have any money saved, what you need to see is to organize your due dates and see if you can move them after you get paid. Okay, many people have the option to do that. Many services will do that for you. Some will not do that for you. So if that's the case, you need to focus on generating extra income so that you can have that spending cushion to get those bills paid and stop living paycheck to paycheck, okay? When you stop living paycheck to paycheck, you will find that your stress level and your anxiety level is going to go down. You're going to be able to focus more. You're going to be able to produce more. You're going to be able to be in a better health situation, and all of that is going to improve your quality of life. If you do not escape the paycheck by paycheck lifestyle, you will be in constant state of financial stress and anxiety, and it will have a negative impact in your life. So I really encourage you to write all of your expenses and your income down and get started on your budgeting process. Now, with that said, as a financial coach, I have created resources for my own clients, resources that I want to share with you because they might help you and they are very accessible to anyone. So I have a net worth and budgeting journal. I have envelope systems where you put money for different spending categories of your budget and you only spend what's in the envelope. I have a meal planner to help busy parents plan their meals and plan a budget for their groceries. I have one-on-one coaching. If you want to sit down with me, maybe virtually because of the pandemic, and you want to work with me to help you create a personalized plan to get ahead financially, I offer those services too. And because I'm bilingual, I also have now a bilingual financial planner. What I find is that a lot of my viewers speak both languages, and they have parents that don't speak both languages, and they want to give their parents resources in their own language. I have that available for you too. All of my products, my financial coaching, my envelope systems can be found at my store, which is you can really, the easiest way to get to my store is going to yezminthomas.com/shop. And then you can see all the products that I have. I have the envelope systems, savings systems, different styles. I have my planners, which I also have. I'll show you this here physically because I have them with me. And I have the coaching sessions. Okay, so if you want to have just a consultation, we can do that. If you want to work with me on a long-term basis, we can also do that. You know, all of these different prices. I think we have different services that are available for all kinds of budgets. It just depends on what you need. And I also have the printable versions of some of my products so that those people who just rather buy them right away and just print them at home can get a hold of them. This is, my friends, how I want to invite you to organize your expenses and start building a strong foundation for your finances and start changing the path of your children's finances as well. So if you have any questions, please write them down, write them in the comments. I am going to go ahead and check them. And before we do that, I just want to show you real quick what the products that I have created for my financial coaching clients look like. Okay, so this is the cash envelopes. So they come as sheets. You print them. I mean, if you buy this, you just get them like this. You cut the back and you put them together, and then it turns into an envelope like this. You label it here. You put groceries, and you put the amount of money that you have budgeted for groceries, and that's all you spend. Okay, so these are the sunflower designs, and it's a 6-pack. I also have the Art Deco, which goes perfectly with my planners. So this is the Art Deco collection. So different styles. I have the meal planner, which this is an amazing tool that I created because I struggle with meal planning a lot. I mean, meal planning for me was my Achilles tendon. I would spend $1,300, $1,400 at the store. I would get home like every month. And then when I was home, I'm like, what are we going to eat? I have no idea. The fridge is full, but I don't know what to make. And so what I did, I created a tool where you actually plan. You start the month. You plan a budget for the month, You figure out when you're going to go to the store. You plan your meals for the entire week. Then you make the list and you go to the store with the book with your list to make the meals. And then you stay on budget. This is an amazing tool I created. I couldn't find one, so I created one, and those who have it love it. I also have my net worth and budgeting journal. This is a, you know how I told you to write everything down? Well, this has done the work for you. So every month you get your calendar where you can track your income and expenses, just like I told you you needed to do. You get your estimated income and actual expenses. So you write down your paychecks, how much you estimate they're going to be, and how much they actually were. And then you break down your budget, giving, savings, basic necessities, all those things that we discussed, both have the estimated column and the actual column, and they're broken down by categories. Why do I break down my budgeting, and why do I teach people to break down their budgeting by categories? Very simple. Because they can easily identify where the money is going. Okay, so if you have too much money going towards your lifestyle choices, and these we agreed were not your basic necessities, and you're not saving money, but you are spending $200 on subscriptions, online subscriptions, well, these will help you identify that. Then you have your debt. You break down your debt, and then you figure out how much, per month you're spending on debt. Some people are spending way too much on debt. So this brings awareness, organizes your expenses, and allows you to understand where the money is actually going. I break down categories too, like gas, restaurants. Some people told me you need to put more space for restaurants because I'm running out of space. So even that is awareness. Like you're eating out way too much. Maybe you shouldn't be eating out so much, because you're trying to save money. Groceries, I run out of space here because it's hard. It's hard to get organized with your groceries. Sometimes, most of the time, I run out of space. But the goal is to organize your grocery shopping so that you can save money. And then at the end of the month, you do what I call your monthly cost of living. So this is just the summary of your expenses. So the summary of your income and the summary of the total of all the categories in your budget. Giving, savings, your basic living expenses, transportation, food, lifestyle, and debt. What you do at the end of every single month is you do the math between your estimated and your actual expenses. And these will tell you exactly what your cost of living is. This is the key number to know, because if your monthly cost of living is $6,200 and you are making $5,000, you're bringing in $5,000, you will know you are every single month $1,100 in the hole. So with this information, you can now plan the next month, cut down expenses, okay? You start cutting down expenses. All the lifestyle choices have to be cut down. Even your basic necessities, you can always try to negotiate to cut some of those down. Maybe the rent and the mortgage won't be flexible. Maybe you can take steps at home to make sure that the lights are not on when they don't need to be on, so that you can actually save money on electricity, or you're not wasting too much water, all of those things. So these are the resources that I have for you. And of course, if you want to work with me one-on-one, all of my clients, and this is their testimony, they believe working with a financial coach, working with me, has been their best investment. Because what happens? Sometimes I get calls from people, they tell me, I'm thinking about working with a financial coach. I'm like, okay, well, this is what I have to offer. And then they don't make a decision. And then they contact me a year later, desperate because the situation just went out of control. The pandemic has caused a lot of people to have situations and changes, drastic changes in their lives. And they're desperate because their situation is looking really bad. if you make a conscious effort today and you make an investment in yourself, because this is really an investment. This is just like somebody who is suffering from health issues going to see a nutritionist, because this nutritionist is going to give them a diet to improve their well-being. It's the same scenario. A financial coach will help you see what your real financial situation is. I will do a diagnosis of your finances. I will give you a plan on how to improve your finances so that you can meet your goals faster. And that is the magic of working one-on-one. It is your goals. It is your dreams. I just help you get to them faster. Okay. That's what I do as a financial coach. And if you want to work with me, my rates vary depending on the services that you want. I start at $99 if you just want a one-time consultation. If you want coaching, then that starts at $247 up to $477 if you want to work with me on a 3-month basis. And if you want to secure the best rate for the time that I will be spending with you working on your finances. And everything is done virtually in this environment. So video conferencing, because of the pandemic, and because this way I can serve people anywhere in the world. And most importantly, I share my screen with you. We do a diagnosis of your finances. We create your budget. We create different scenarios to pay off debt, to start saving money, to get ahead, get closer to your financial goals. And the results that my clients have are amazing. I'm working with a family now. They paid $24,000 in 3 months, $24,000 in debt in 3 months. They now have their full emergency fund, 6 months of expenses saved. They made a lot of money, but they spent a lot of money and they didn't know how to get organized. Within 3 months, their entire situation changed. I work with people who are young, who want to get out of debt, who want to save, who want to make a transition so they can travel. We create a plan, we put it into practice, and they get results. So if you want to get results in your finances, contact me, send me a message, visit my website. I'm going to put my information up here so that you guys can have it. You can call me, you can text me, whatever works for you, because I want to see you get ahead financially. So if you want any of my products, or if you want to enroll in any of my programs, you can visit my store, yezminthomas.com/shop. You can also follow me on social media. I have a podcast, I have videos, I have live broadcasts on Facebook and Instagram. I do all kinds of content, both in English and Spanish, because I want to see everyone succeed financially. So if you need help, if you are struggling to get out of debt, if you had just a recent reduction on your finances because of a layoff or any situation, don't hesitate to reach out. I can at least tell you what I have to offer to you, and you will have new information to improve your finances. With this, I am going to check the chat, because if you have any questions, I want to make sure that I answer those questions for you. Okay, so if you have any questions, please write them down on the chat, and I will go ahead and answer them. So Maribel, thank you for being here, Maribel. Cesar, welcome. Luis Enrique, welcome. Alma, good to see you. Mart, welcome here. Urbina O, Maria, welcome. Alejandro, thank you for being here. Lupita is watching. Zoila, hi Zoila, how are you? Zoila says, I can hear you fine. Daniela, how are you? Julio Morales, welcome. Isaías, Cynthia Lyons, good to see you here, friend. Nelly Ortiz, Cato Puente, Angelina, Cesare, Rocio, and Jesse Palacios. All of you tuning in today, I am so grateful for your time. And most importantly, I hope that this information will bring a change to your finances, because when you change your finances, you can change your life. It is a pleasure for me to share this with you guys. Please let me know if you need any help with your finances, if you want to enroll in any of my coaching programs, or if you need a coaching consultation, or if you want to get any of the planners. I also have, for those who have kids, a student productivity journal, which is going to be very helpful now that we're all working from home and studying from home. So I don't see any more questions. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. This broadcast is going to be on my fan page on Facebook, so you can access it at any time. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. My name is Yezmin Thomas, and I really appreciate you taking the time to be here and invest your time in your financial well-being.